Welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Nickie Robbs, and I am a real estate agent that serves Tacoma and Puyallup, Washington. I'm happy to go further, like Port Orchard, Seattle, and Oak Harbor if you request it. But really, I'm here for you. I'm to be your real estate best friend, your real estate big sister, your real estate mom. Anyway, here at Nickie Robbs Homes and on the Real Life in Real Estate podcast, we cover real life stuff for real estate questions. This is not for investors. This is all for regular people, whether my kids or my sister or my neighbors listen to the show. We're just talking about regular stuff. Today, our topic is buying and selling in 2024 and what does low inventory mean? We've been hearing that term low inventory for so many years now, about 4 straight years. And so I wanted to give some numbers that actually tell you what that means. For instance, in January of 2024, there were 1,003 homes for sale. That's all, 1,003. For comparison, in January 2023, there were 1,206. Now, January tends to be a slow part of the year anyway, but that is still a comparison that there's 200 less homes this year than there were last year. Now, let's look at a hotter part of the real estate season, and that's in the summertime. I would love to tell you what July 2024 is going to hold, but I just don't know. So let's look back, and instead I'll share July 2023, just 7 months ago. At that time, there were 1,365 homes for sale, and that felt a little bit tight, but still pretty good. But in July of 2022, there were 2,318 homes, almost exactly a difference of 1,000 homes. Now, it's not my job to go into the whys of why we continue to have low inventory. I'm just telling you that we do and how that will affect you as a consumer. One more thing I want to go back to, 10 years ago, in June of 2014, there were 4,534 homes for sale. How do these numbers affect you, the buyer and the seller, in 2024? For buyers, continuing to have low inventory means that there are not enough homes for all the buyers that want them. It's that simple. There's a great shoe out there and there's more people that want the shoe than there are shoes available. There's not enough milk. There's not enough bread for everybody to go around. It is the supply and demand, and it's on a very large scale. The people who could not have bought in the last 4 years, for instance, because they were still teenagers and now they're in a place to buy their own home. Now they want to buy, and we don't have a lot of choices to give them. For those that were renting over the last 4, 5, 7 years, we have not a lot of homes to offer you, especially when you're looking in the winter. We have more homes to offer you in the summer, but the problem with that for buyers is that everyone is looking in the summer, especially if interest rates go down even the tiniest little bit, 1/4 point, 1/2 point. If we see any movement at all, a whole bunch of buyers come into the market. Now, I'm not mad about that because it's your finances and you got to do what you got to do, and you will know, and you and your lender, you will know when the time is right for your financial decisions. I am just telling you on the other side of things, on the agent side of things, that when there's a lot of competition, we start seeing things like people paying over asking price. And I'm hearing a lot of stories like that. That this is beginning to come back again in certain price points because there aren't very many homes in certain price points. For instance, in Puyallup, now this is being recorded at the end of February of 2024, I was at a house on Sunday, so just 2 days ago, and there were probably 20 agent cards on the counter. That means that a minimum of 20 agents with their clients have been in that house and they were seriously considering buying that house. That house was at a unique price point where when I did my research, there's only probably 3 homes in that price point in Puyallup. Ooh, well, what does that mean? That means that probably a whole bunch of really great offers are going to come in, and your agent needs to be very strategic about how to write that offer, what things to offer to the seller. Is that going to be over asking price or waiving inspections? Gosh, I hope not. But are there some other things that could appeal to the seller? Yes. And a great agent is going to make those connections and then offer something that is appealing to the seller. Now, I know we saw some crazy stuff in 2021, like people offering boats in addition to buying the house. I don't think we're going to get there, but I know that we are having some competition ramp up. So buyers, I really want to urge that if you are thinking 2024 might be the right time for you, I want you to talk to a lender that you know and trust very soon. Because a big part of choosing what is the right time for you is what are your goals, and does buying get you closer to those goals? If one of those goals is to be a homeowner, then obviously yes, buying makes sense. But if it is also get away from renting into a level of mortgage that is similar to your rent, that is why you need to talk to a lender so that they can help you find the right mortgage package, the right product that is going to be closest to your current rent and utilities and all of your other housing costs, so that it's an easy transition to go from renting to homeownership. If your goal is to be within a certain school district, then again, talk to the lender, because we need to make sure that getting into a certain school district or having a certain size yard for your pets and things like that is going to make sense both logistically as well as financially. Now, sellers, I know you've been listening and you've been thinking, wow, those numbers and low inventory, that actually sounds like a really good deal for me because I want to sell my home at the highest possible price. Yes, that makes sense, because that's part of the home ownership journey, is that making sure that you are utilizing all of the equity in your home and that we are achieving your goals as well. Now, highest possible price isn't always the goal. So I do want to share that and have you think about that. What are the other goals beyond price? Is it downsizing? Is it upsizing? Is it having all the rooms on the main level? Is it having a yard big enough for entertaining? Are you going to be hosting a lot of barbecues? Be thinking about not just the monetary thing, but what are the other pieces of that? For both buyers and sellers, I want you to think about, what are we heading toward? What are the priorities of this purchase? What are the priorities of this next home? Are you going to full-time RV? Are you going to live out of state? Are you going to go on that 9-month cruise I've been hearing so much about? What is the reason that you're selling? If you're relocating out of state, I want you to consider all of the costs of moving out of state so that we can make sure that the price we're getting for your home supports all of those pieces of the puzzle. For those of you that are moving to Washington, I do also want you to not only talk to your lender about the budget that is needed to purchase the home, but also consider all of the costs of moving. For both buyers and sellers, closing costs are going to be an issue, and that we want to give you the best possible estimate as early as we can. We want you to be very aware about how agents are paid. There's been a lot of disclosure about that. And so no matter whether you're buying or selling, your agent is going to have a conversation with you about how we get paid and what the options are, because it's not a fixed rate. And there's a lot of things that we can offer you that benefit you as a part of our service package. You need to make sure it's a good fit. Not just personality, I hope I can be your real estate big sister, but maybe it's about something else that is being offered at the same time. Now that we've had that conversation, we've talked about buying, we've talked about selling, we've talked about low inventory. I want you to remember what people were doing when we were all running out of toilet paper a couple years ago. They were hoarding toilet paper. They were buying a lot of it. Some people were, handing it out to neighbors. Some people were reselling it. I had a really lovely neighbor hear my story of how I was doing the sourdough thing, and I was doing it with whole wheat flour because that's the only flour I could find. Well, he was able to find an all-purpose flour, and he just brought it over one day because he wanted to support a neighbor, support a friend. Sourdough is great and all, but it probably tastes better with all-purpose flour. And I was so thankful that someone just heard my concern, that this wasn't real easy. and out of the abundance and the giving of their heart, they brought me some flour. So as we go into another round of the real estate year and the real estate cycle, for buyers, I strongly encourage you to consider, can we buy between February and April and maybe May? I would really like you to talk to your agent and talk to your lender and strategize about what would it look like to buy before school is out and before the summer busy months begin heating up. If you can't do that soon, that's okay. Can you then buy in October or November? Consider that, because there will be less competition. Because if there's only going to be 1,300 homes for sale and there's going to be 2,600 buyers, what is that going to be? That means people will be beat out and other people will have to start looking in new directions. Some people will have to go to whole other areas and maybe not even within Pierce County or within Puyallup. People who are losing in King County because the offers are getting so high, they're going to come down here, right? Pierce County is awesome, and the commute isn't that much further when we're talking about Enumclaw versus Bonnie Lake. It's not. Enumclaw and Bonnie Lake are only 15 minutes away from each other if the traffic is good. I know all my Enumclaw friends just had a huge laugh at that, because if the traffic is good is a monumentous occasion, isn't it? Sellers, I want you to consider all the pieces and not just your highest price point. So for sellers, is it beneficial for you to sell sooner rather than later? Is it beneficial for you personally in your timeline to sell between March and June? Is there any reason you need to wait for July? If there isn't a personal reason other than price, I would encourage you to talk to your lender and agent and talk about the strategy of that. If you can sell, you actually might find the best buyer when it's not the hot season. Yeah. But that's a chat you need to have, because there's so many other factors going into that. If you are considering selling this year, here's a few quick tips. You have to work on decluttering. Even in a seller's market, we have to declutter. We have to put our best foot forward and make people feel at home in our house. I used to tell my kids that it needs to look like an IKEA showroom, okay? This is not the display of your personal museum the way it usually is when you live in your home. It means that all of our personal photos are going to come off the wall and it looks like a magazine. Another thing to consider for sellers is maybe boost that yard work a little bit and put some fresh mulch out. Fresh mulch makes a huge difference in gardens. It's really surprising. It's kind of like the perfect spackle and touch-up paint for gardens. I love it. Consider what else might need to happen. Again, talk to your agent. You're a trusted agent. No one gets you like your agent is going to get you, because they will see what you don't see and they'll be able to bring it up in such a way that they're also providing either a tradesperson, someone that they have used or their clients have used and they highly recommend. If it's a quick thing like we need to caulk these things in the siding, let me tell you who can do that. Always talk to professionals, always get someone that knows what they're doing. And if that's you and 2024 is looking like the year to buy, I would really like you to take my first time home buyer class. I offer it very frequently. Please watch my social media for the next one. If you're considering selling, let's just do a consultation. It's so easy. There's no strings attached. I'm happy to come over and just give an opinion, and then you can decide if this is the right time for you. That's what really matters. Is 2024 the right time for you? I hope you keep listening to my podcast as I feature stories of clients that have made so many significant decisions. I recently had my client Carol on the podcast, and she talked about the decision was really motivated by traffic. The noise of the traffic, the difficulty of the traffic, that's all it took for her to decide, I have to move. Now that was a 1.5 year long process, but it doesn't matter, because in the end, we got her to the best and most peaceful place she could possibly be. If you go back and listen to episode 4, you can listen to my client talk about a lot of uncertainty with his student attending college over here. But the uncertainty led very quickly to the idea of an investment property. How did we get there? If that's right for you and this is the time for you, then let's chat. I've got some more client stories coming up. I can't wait to get them published here on the podcast. Please keep listening. And if you need an agent or you just need a friendly great, I don't know if I can edit that out. If you need an agent in the Tacoma and Puyallup area, I'm Nickie Robbs, and I'd be happy to sit down and chat with you and listen to your real estate dreams. This episode has been edited by Will Robbs of Will Robbs Art. Please contact him for any of your artistic editing needs. Thanks.